welcome into Off the Leash. Man, it's been the offseason, but we've had a busy couple weeks. The Browns aren't giving us any lack of content. Today, it was officially announced that after 12 years playing for the Browns, Joel Bitonio is retiring. He had a press conference today. We're going to hear from him in a couple minutes. But first, I'm Leah Doherty, Mark Schwab, Fred Greetham. You know the drill. Ashley Holder is out covering practice for us today, veteran minicamp. But Fred, I just want to get your initial thoughts on Joel Bitonio's career and your just reaction to his retirement.
One of the nicest guys I've ever covered him from wall to wall his whole career. And, you know, this could summarize it. We have an award we vote on every year as the media called the Good Guy Award. He won it 5 times. I think we could name the award after him. He's just that guy that you could go to, always had a smile on his face, and he was a great player. I mean, 7-time Pro Bowler, all the accolades you mentioned. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Great guy. Probably could have kept playing. Went to a contender. The only thing lacking is a Super Bowl. And just like Joe Thomas never even got into playoffs. He got in 2 playoffs, but still, great guy, great career. Wish him nothing but the best.
Building on what Fred said, as far as good guy, I mean, obviously this team has been on the wrong end of a lot of bad Sundays. And it was something to know they could have just played terribly, but all right, I can get 65. You go into that locker room, it's quiet. We've all been in those. It's like a morgue after a loss. Guys don't want to talk. Guys might be chippy, but you could count on Bitonio talking to you, being a good guy, polite, respectful, giving you a good soundbite, and talking win or lose. So certainly a great dude there. I always remember him being drafted. I remember covering the draft that night in Berea, and he was much overshadowed in that draft because of 2 first-round picks. One of them was named Johnny Manziel, and the other was Justin Gilbert, who was probably as bad of a first-round pick as Johnny, but he doesn't get the talk because he didn't have all the off-field issues. He just couldn't play in the NFL. But Joel Bitonio, slam dunk pick. I remember they took him out of Nevada, guard, and he seemed like a solid pick when they took him, and he turned into a far more than solid pick. He turned into a great pick for them for all the reasons that we've talked about. Fantastic player, great career.
Yeah, echoing what both of you guys said, we've been in a lot of those tense, awkward, uncomfortable locker rooms after really bad losses or just during the week, practice, whatever, and it's just clear guys just don't want to talk.
Yeah.
He always was willing to talk, always came up, always had a positive attitude, always put a good spin on things, was nice, easy to talk to, and there's just something to be said, first off, about someone that gets to spend their whole entire career with one team, because that's rare to see. Someone that wanted to retire as a Cleveland Brown as well, and consistency, day in and day out, showing up. He said even this past year, like, even if I was 70%, he was like, that's still good enough for me. So he had a press conference earlier today, and we're going to play a few minutes from that. Here's Joel Bitonio.
When I reflect on my time as a Cleveland Brown, I'm so grateful. I've learned so much. After I was drafted, I had the unique experience of playing left guard in between 10-time Pro Bowl left tackle Joe Thomas and 7-time Pro Bowl center Alex Mack. What a way to learn how to be a pro in the NFL. I saw firsthand their toughness, their ability to play through injuries, the importance of being there for your teammates. I took that with me and did my best to instill that in my teammates later in my career. I sat next to John Greco in meetings. He taught me how to be a pro, take notes the right way, and play guard in the NFL. I was drafted the same year as Johnny Manziel, and we actually roomed together. I learned some things not to do from him. Yeah, I was always appreciative of, the team drafting you. I got picked in the 2nd round, and I played here. And early in my career, they trusted me, even though I know I was injury. Mr. Haslam, said, like, there was a question, and I wanted to always prove him right. And by the time we got things rolling where we made the playoffs and we're having these runs, I was kind of in, year 7, 8, 9 in my career. And by that point, like, you're so committed, you put in so much work here. I was ready to see it through, and I was ready to see, the ultimate goal was to win a Super Bowl, and that was my goal here. But once you get through it, like, for me, I could never just picture myself in a different uniform. The decision was made. Like, me and Andrew Berry had a conversation before free agent. I think we signed like 3 interior linemen on the first day of free agency. So that was kind of like, me and AB had already discussed that I was going to retire, and I was finishing up my career. It was really just the timing of the announcement. I talked to my agent, and he's like, I mean, technically, you don't have to say anything. Like, you're retired, and he's like, I've been playing football for 23 years of my life, and here for 12 years, and you just want to make sure it's done. I never wanted to be the guy that was like, all right, I'm done playing, but now I want to go make another run at it and come back and unretire. And so for me, it was just, hey, we want to have a finite decision. But we were in constant communication with the team, and I appreciate them understanding. And, I'm sure AB had to answer a few questions where he knew the answer to, but I appreciate that. I think just consistency, like being who you are each and every day. And it's a business, right? Like the NFL is such a business, but I think if you peel it back and you're the best version of yourself and you give everything you can in the moment every day, and you have a bunch of guys that want to do that, like it builds up the culture and it builds up what the team is and who they want to be. And so if people just see that, like, hey, that guy came to work, win or loss, like he was who he is and he put in the work and was ready on Sundays to give his best. To me, like, I think that's how you build a culture of winning.
So you guys would know better than me. It was 7 years into his career that he finally made it to the playoffs, right? So for that, with Baker, that, to be on a team like the Browns where you're used to so much losing, right? And we talk about Joe Thomas and guys that like waste their careers here, but to have the headspace that he does of like, I'm proud because first off, I played in the NFL, which not a lot of people can say, but like I have personal pride in what I was able to do and go and put out on the field every single day. Like it's not easy to play for a team where 7 years in, you're finally making the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you think like Joe Thomas, as great as he was, never made the playoffs. And Joe made it twice. They won the Steeler game, lost to the Chiefs, and then, that Flacco run was probably the funnest part. I think if he was to be honest, it was kind of unreal there, for that playoff run. But yeah, I mean, it's too bad. You think about Joe Thomas, first ballot Hall of Famer, and right next to him was Joel Bitonio, who might be a Hall of Famer as well, or has the accolades other than being a guard. You couldn't win.
Schwab.
More on Hall of Fame talk with Joel in a moment. I was surprised, a little surprised. I was always surprised that Joe never wanted to leave at the end. I guess I was a little surprised that Joel never wanted to either because, I mean, it's one thing to play most of the career with one team. And then at some point, kind of like what you said, you got to figure, we're just losing here. Can I go taste that other thing just, once here at the end? Joe Thomas had a chance to go to the Broncos. Remember that? Turned it down because he wanted to stay here in Cleveland. I was surprised Joel never, tried that. But he didn't, to his credit. He loved it here. He said it's something about, honoring the team that drafted you. I don't know how he came back last year. We did this last year. And I don't think it didn't take as long. I don't think it took as long. But you're like, what are you coming back for? They're not winning. It was obvious they weren't going to win anything last year, but he wanted to come back. I never understood it. Why now?
We were told the Browns installed a golf simulator at their practice facility, and that was a big reason that Joel wanted to come back for another year.
It's tempting.
Well, and they also brought all his buddies back, and they were going back to what they had their heyday with Flacco,
right.
Conklin and Bitonio and Posick and the whole gang, and they thought they would be able to get it going again. It just never got going again.
Right. We're going to talk more about Joel. I know Schwab's true-false is centered around that, but we're going to switch gears a little bit because today was the first practice veteran minicamp. Media was able to go. Fred, you were out there. Obviously, the biggest conversation in the offseason is who's going to be the quarterback. We got I don't even know if you would call it a little more insight today with 11-on-11s, but I know Shador took first-team reps, Deshaun Watson, second-team reps. So what were your observations, Fred?
Yeah, Shador had the majority. I thought he looked good. After practice, Monken said that they'll flip it tomorrow and Watson will run with the ones, and then on Thursday they're going to split it. He did say the most definitive out of there is he's not ready to make a decision, so they're not going to announce anything, and he probably won't even start training camp with a starter. He said he wanted to see him with the pads on. He feels – so I don't know how you look at that. John Madden saying you have two quarterbacks, you don't have any. It almost seemed like Shador has closed the gap from the beginning, and so he doesn't feel he's ready to determine it. But I thought Shador looked pretty good today. I think a couple wide receivers, Isaiah Bond, keep an eye on him. He's looking pretty good, and Denzel Boston are the two that stand out there. And they got 4 of the 5 offensive line. Today they had KT Leviston at right guard. They're trying to find the replacement for Joel Bitonio, the 5th guy. But I think overall tomorrow and Thursday will separate a little, but the quarterback's gonna go right out there, I think, till training camp.
How did you feel like Deshaun looked today?
I didn't think he looked that great today, Maybe it's because he was with the second group, but they did finish with a hurry up, and Deshaun led him down the field, Shador did, and a long field goal. Somebody said it was like 50 yards by Schmidt, but then Watson came in, and they were moving, and he threw it out to Kent State's Luke Floria, and he broke for a touchdown. So Watson got a touchdown, Sanders got a field goal at the end of game situation, but I don't know. It's hard to judge. I think Watson looked pretty good in the 7-on-7s, but Sanders looked maybe better in the team today to me.
And I think was Jared Verse starting to do some team drills too today?
Yeah, he was running, today. First time we've seen since the first practice, and he was at right end, and he was putting the heat on already. And so, yeah, that was you're starting to see it shape up. Mason Graham was in a walking boot, and Grant Delpit wasn't out there. Munkin said he isn't going to talk about injuries, but he said that he expected everybody ready for training camp.
Schwab, do you think it's a good decision or not a good decision, or bad spot to be in that they're not calling a starting QB right now?
I'm fine with it now. I would love to have it done, same with Monken, before training camp.
Do you think they will?
I would be surprised if he didn't at this point, because he made a point to say, I would like to have that done before training camp. And if he said that, what did he say? When he took the job, I think? Yep. If it's in his mind, I've got to think he really wants to do this. I will be shocked if this is this close. Like, I guess Shador, he said Shador looked pretty good today.
They're making it seem like it's close, like when we've heard from Todd.
Well, and see, when he says, I'm going back and forth he said that last Wednesday. I'm like, okay.
Does he mean he's going back and forth with allocation of reps?
In his mind. No, in his mind.
Really?
One day I think he didn't say names, but one day it's Deshaun. One day I'm thinking it's Shador. So I'm like, okay.
He said we have 2 starting level quarterbacks.
I honestly don't know who that says more about. Does that say more about Shador, or does that say more about Deshaun?
He's trying to say that Shador has really come on and night and day from last year, but he just said, in fairness today, that he couldn't rule anybody out, so he's not ready to name it. So that tells me.
So he couldn't rule out Dylan Gabriel?
Well, Dylan, they made him change numbers.
Yeah,
he's now wearing number 6.
He's 6
because JOK's not playing, and he threw a long ball that was a good one, but he's not getting too much chance at all. But yeah, he didn't say by name, but it's Sanders and Watson.
Did Verse have to pay Gabriel for the name, or did the Browns just straight up take it from him?
I mean, we don't know. This would be speculation.
I think it's like a grandfather, because I don't think they can wear single digits, new. It seemed like I heard something about it, but
Wasn't that a Stefanski thing, or am I wrong?
I don't know.
Is that
I don't know,
thing?
but I don't know why Gabriel couldn't stay with 8. He's wearing an orange jersey. They have a lot of times a brown jersey of one number and the same number on the white jersey, but whatever.
I mean, he was here last year. That was his number. They just took it from him. Yeah, I know. Yeah, go sit down, kid. Give it to him. Unbelievable.
Nothing surprises me here. All right, we have much more to talk about. We're going to jump back in on some Joel Bitonio discussion. That is coming up next in Mark Schwab's True-False Question of the Week.
Off the Leash continues. True-false question of the week. It's a pretty simple question. It's a Joel Bitonio day. It's a Joel Bitonio question. True or false, Joel Bitonio is a Hall of Famer?
Should be, yeah, true.
Defend your answer.
I mean, when you look at his career, all the accolades that we put Joe Thomas in the Hall of Fame for, and we mentioned Joel Bitonio at least got to go to the playoffs twice. I don't think a career is defined by like how if you win a ring or you don't win a ring. I know that's how a lot of times we like to define success, but
Ring culture, according to Donovan Mitchell.
Yes, see, exactly. Yes, exactly. But there's something to be said about the amount of years being with the same team, all the different Pro Bowl appearances he had. Like, the man should not get punished just because he played for a bad team. He had an incredible career. I know you don't get as many eyes on you when you play for a bad team, but the consistency, I don't even know how many seasons he played without missing a snap, and I mean all that stuff that he talked about today. So for those reasons, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I say that's true. I mean, he finishes right now. He's in the top 10 games played. A guy like Gene Hickerson, who's in the Hall of Fame, who was a guard. It's a tough position. He even lobbied today that guards are like the lowest numbered in the Hall of Fame. I think he'll make the Hall of Fame, but I don't think it's going to be like a Joe Thomas first ballot because the position, a tackle, a left tackle is a premium. Guard, center is not looked at that, and it's usually down the line. But 7 Pro Bowls, but more importantly to me, 5 were all pro. And that's not, the Pro Bowl, but that's the best 2 guards in the NFL over that period of time. And so, yes, I think he will make the Hall of Fame.
So I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to say false, but not because of him. I think it's because of the team. So there's only 3 ways to really gauge players for this. There's statistically, there's accolades, and then there's the turn on the tape and watch them. There's no stats for guards, so you got to throw that one out the window. None of us are scouts. I will never say, I watched the tape. That's not what we do. So maybe, people that do that could have a better answer. So that leaves us to accolades. 7 Pro Bowls, 5 times All-Pro, 2 are first team. In the last 40 years, the floor of Pro Bowls for guards is 7. So he just clears that. It's Hutchison and a couple others. Most of the guys have a lot more. 5 All-Pro, but 2 are first team, 3 are second team. The 2 first team, that is also on the lower end of that. I think if he is on the Steelers, he's in. If he's on one of those other organizations, he's in. I think being a Cleveland Brown is going to hurt him here.
I totally think
he's got the accolades to get there, just barely. It's just the team is so darn bad. I think that gets held against him. It shouldn't. I just think it will, and I hope I'm wrong because you can't tell me he wouldn't go in and wouldn't be better than 1 or 2 or some of the guards in there.
How many Hall of Famers do the Browns have?
Oh, I've lost count. It's a ton because they were so good in the 50s and 60s. Do you remember?
I don't have the numbers right in front of me. It seemed like it was 14 or 15 or something like that. But, yeah, they're all around in the media room. But most of them, other than Joe Thomas, Ozzie Newsome, Clay Matthews should be.
He should be in. He's another guy that's got the numbers and isn't in.
And he played 20-some years. So, yeah, to your point, if the Chiefs guards are going to be remembered because of they were in the Super Bowl and in the playoffs a lot, and that's the downfall. You kind of get out of sight, out of mind when you're never playing in the playoffs.
Right. Well, we'll just have to see. I hope you're wrong.
I would love to be wrong. I would love to be covering Joel Bitonio in the Hall of Fame. That'd be awesome.
I hope you're wrong. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Off the Leash right after this. All right, so it's Tuesday when we're taping this episode. We'll be at 2 more practices, Wednesday and Thursday, for veteran minicamp. Fred, what do you want to see out of these next 2 practices before they break for 5-6 weeks or whatever it is, then we have training camp?
Yeah, I just want to see more of the wide receivers. I like what I see, this young core. I don't know how quick they can get up to speed, but I think it is pushing a guy like Jerry Jeudy because Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston, Isaiah Bond look like they can play. And I think it'll make everybody better. And you're able to then gauge your quarterback a little better when they have somebody that's competent to throw it to. And so that's probably the biggest thing. You can't tell much about the defense or pass rush or offensive line in these kind of situations. But the quarterbacks, again, we'll be watching that to see if anybody separates.
I want to know how the offensive line shakes out. Allocation of reps. Elton Jenkins is a starter. We just don't know where. He's either the center or he's a guard, and it depends on it's Parker Brailsford, it's Tevin Jenkins. Is Zach Zinter in that? Or is he in that?
No, Jack Conley, who's a tackle. They've been and KT Leviston played for the first team today. Luke Whippler was supposed to be in the battle at center, but he just got back on the field today after that season.
He got hurt
injury
right at the end of the year. So that's what I want to know is how that shakes.
Yeah, so it's kind of, he said they're going to come out of there with their 5 best offensive linemen, whoever that is, even if it's a tackle. Wouldn't be surprised if Barber moves in and see what he can do at guard, the guy they just drafted.
I think this is kind of what happens to Browns fans every year, but you get a sense of optimism in the offseason. But I really do feel like it's genuine this offseason because I would find it hard to believe that they're going to be worse. With the offensive line, all the new pieces that they brought in, it at least seems like they have some depth that they hadn't had. Wide receiver, like you had mentioned, Jerry Jeudy's actually going to have some competition. I find it hard to believe we're going to be worse at that position.
They should be better offensively. I'll stand by their worst defensively. I'm sorry. I still don't like trading Miles.
Garrett. I mean,
yeah.
But that's the thing. Even with Myles Garrett, you still weren't winning games. Like, you still have to fix the offense regardless. Like, hopefully defense can just maintain. Maybe they'll probably be worse. But as long as it's not a massive drop-off, I don't think it will be a massive drop-off. But even with Myles Garrett, I mean, they still weren't winning games.
No, because they couldn't score. That's why
exactly.
It felt like, honestly, this is why I got so upset about the Miles trade. I still don't like it. I mean, for all now the offensive line working receivers and stuff, they're a quarterback away. So, this is going back to last week's show. So if you're one guy away, why don't you trade Myles Garrett? Because yes, otherwise you feel optimistic. They have seemingly fixed offensive line and an injection of talent at receiver, and maybe Monken could do something for one of these quarterbacks, and we'll see it, take off to a different level.
You think they're going to be better?
What would be most Browns is they get the offense fixed and they lose because the defense has dropped off.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
And that's, that's what I felt the strength was defense. Keep that and just get the offense going, and you feel like you took a step back, in my opinion, right now without Myles Garrett.
I agree, too. And, I mean, this is everything we debated last week. But you're not fixing your main problem of quarterback by just getting rid of Myles. So, like, those draft picks, if it's a late first round or whatever, like, you're still not fixing your problem.
No,
so it doesn't make sense to me. I don't think it's ever going to make sense to me. But I guess we'll see how it shakes out if they drop off and I like Rutenberg. So, like, I'd be really bummed if they dropped off defensively. But I don't know. These are just more things we have to look forward to this season. Any final thoughts before I let you guys go?
No, we'll see.
Joel Bitonio will be missed.
Joel Bitonio will be missed.
Yeah, his presence in the locker room. And we always like people that are media friendly and always great to talk to. And so we appreciate that. All right, that does it for another episode of Off the Leash. For Leah Doherty, Mark Schwab, Fred Greetham, we'll see you next Tuesday.